First off, what does the word DARUMA mean, and when did you start writing it?
So I actually started to write DARUMA after a member of my own family suffered a spinal cord injury. They had a motorcycle accident and became a T4, 5, and 6 paraplegic. And I wrote this short as a way to process my own grief. I mean, as a writer, that's how I dealt with my feelings. It's devastating. I mean, and disability can affect anybody at any given point in time. I mean, it is a universal thing that everybody deals with. But when I was at USC, I studied Asian art history for one of my general requirement classes. And one of my classes, we studied this painting called Ika, showing his severed arm to Daruma. I didn't know anything about this painting, but it was written in the Muromachi period by a guy named Seshu Toyo. It shows the Daruma, which is the Bodhidharma, the guy that founded Zen Buddhism. Now the legend goes is that he meditated in a cave for 9 years and his limbs fell away. He had no need for them anymore. So he was this sort of round object, you know what I mean? He had no arms, no legs, nothing. And the painting depicts this guy named Ika, who was a would-be pupil, a disciple who is so desperate to study with the Daruma. So Ika severs his own arm and he presents it to the Daruma. And he wakes the Daruma from a trance, and the Daruma's like, "You've missed the point of the lessons." And he turns him away. And I was so haunted by this painting because it was so garish and it was just so ugly. But what happened was when my family member was recovering from their injury, they spent months in rehabilitation, they were roomed with a young man who had lost both of his arms in an electrical accident. And they had both turned 21 and they both had their lives ahead of them. They were both, just starting. And you could see, the indomitable spirit that they had. They were, getting into all kinds of mischief and stuff into the recovery center. And they were still the same people. They had just had these life-changing injuries, but they were the same people. So this is where the idea of Daruma came, because here was one young man who had just lost his arms, and here's another young man who had just lost both of his legs. Wow. So together, the theme of this is, it becomes one person. Now, if you look online, you will see what a Daruma doll is. Now, a Daruma doll is a round doll that is popular in Japanese culture. When you get one, you color in one eye black and you make a wish. When your wish comes true, you color in the other eye. So, the Daruma features as an underlying theme in the story. But the story I wrote a fictionalized version of this relationship that unfolded. So this is a story that follows a very bitter, angry paraplegic named Patrick, who discovers that he's got a 4-year-old daughter from a one-night stand before he got injured. And he takes her for an insurance payout, but he quickly learns that he can't parent. So he has to take her to live across the country with her maternal grandparents. And the only person that can help him make this journey is his double arm amputee. So wow. That's the story of Daruma, and that's something that I've been working on for a number of years now. And we have been connecting with organizations like the Reeve Foundation, the Rudderman Family Foundation, Respectability. We've been working with those organizations to help build a platform to get this story out. One of the things that I think was shocking to me when I, won the contest and I got signed and I got repped, I thought, this is it. My screenwriting career is gonna take off. And that's not necessarily the case. You still have to be your own advocate, and you still have to be prepared to pursue your passion projects, because not everybody's going to see the vision that you have for something. Now, we're fortunate in that we have, the team with Daruma has, we've partnered with people who have seen the vision. We're authentically casting these roles. We are casting 2 disabled actors to play these lead roles. I don't want to have a situation where we've got an able-bodied actor who can, play a disabled role. That's not what we're setting out to do. So it's an uphill battle to produce this project, but we're doing a crowdfunding October 1st with Seed and Spark, which is an indie filmmaker platform. And I encourage anybody who has a script or they want to shoot a proof of concept and they don't know where to go, look there, look at other projects, look at what other people are doing. It's a great place to connect with other filmmakers too.
Yeah, they have some fantastic campaigns. Yeah. And you have a website that's already set up for DARUMA?
I do. I do actually. And I think one of the most interesting things about that website is that we have put content from other sources like Respectability and the Ford Foundation. They all have toolkits for disability inclusion in Hollywood. So as a writer, we talked about sensitivity reads earlier. These, they're PDFs that you can download from the website. They actually have different tips and steps that you as a writer or a producer or a filmmaker can draw from and put into your own work.
And I think it's great too that you already have your website ready to go. I mean, I saw some of the cast.
Yeah.
And your director and his bio and your bio.
Yep.
So I think that's great. So many people, I know it's not ready yet. And I think it's great because but right now it's August. And so we have a few months it's fully fleshed out website. Looks great.
Well, we actually put that website up in almost a year and a half ago now.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah, that website's been up for a while.
Oh my goodness.
One of the things that we've learned about this process is that nobody's going to do it for you. You have to be able to, and I mean, this is where I put my producer hat on. You have to be able to just draw that line in the sand and be like, okay, this is it, we're going. And I find that when you start to get people to come on board, and one day I'm going to write a book about this. One day this is going to be my book to filmmaking. But do you know the story about Stone Soup? Are you familiar with this?
Shel Silverstein?
No. It's actually it's a old folk tale. There's a man who wanders into a village and he's hungry and nobody will help him and all of the villagers turn him away. So he's like, all right, well, I have a rock. So he goes to the center of town and he's like, I have a magic rock. This magic rock will make amazing soup for everybody to eat. He's like, well, in order to get started, I just need a little bit of water. So someone's like, all right, I'll buy into this. I'll give you a little bit of water. He's like, okay, well, great. So now that we have this water and this magic rock, we just need a little bit of fire. So the owner's like, oh, I've got some wood, so I'll contribute some wood. And gradually, everybody starts contributing to this pot, and they make this amazing soup. So if you look at the process of making an independent feature, like we're doing with DARUMA, as sort of making a film soup, you start to look at, you bring this to the table and they're like, oh, well, I can bring this to the table. And you start building a team and a collaboration. And eventually you get to the point where we are, where we did the website, then we did a casting and we connected with, casting directors and agents. And we started to actually cast, disabled actors in the lead roles. And that opened up the doors to this other community. And now we're partnering with organizations and it's one thing on top of another. And it's very easy to get discouraged in this process because it takes a long time. But honestly, these things should take a long time. They should because they need to be good. They're important. So
that's really interesting. So that you don't want to rush it because it means a lot to you instead of just putting it out and it's half done and then there's criticisms and you go, yeah, I know. That's smart.
I mean, it's one thing to wait for something to happen and then it's another to be like, you know what, it's time. It's finding a balance. So we could wait forever and look for the right financiers to come and give us money to make this project. But the fact of the matter is that casting two lead actors that have disabilities, that's not really something people want to take a gamble on. That's not something, a lot of people, as a producer or, a film financier or whatever, would be like, well, who's your lead actor? Because their job is to make money. They've got to pay their bills. They've got kids to send to school or whatever. It's not a risk that people are necessarily willing to take. But that doesn't mean that the project shouldn't be made. So it's up to you to find creative ways to make it happen.
And you're also the writer for
I am
DARUMA?
a writer, yeah.
And so you said it's loosely based on a family member. It's not their exact story,
No,
right?
it's not loosely based on them at all.
Oh,
Actually,
it's not?
No. This family member never discovered that they had a child from a one-night stand. It was written as a way for me to process my own grief. What was very important for me about this particular story, if you look at most narratives where you have a disabled character, the storyline tends to go from being able-bodied to having a tragic accident and then suddenly being disabled and then living your life. You know, then that's the inspirational part of the story. It was very important for me to tell a story where it had two leads that were disabled, and that wasn't a plot point, that wasn't a device. It's nothing for them to overcome. It just is what it is, because listen, 25% of the American population lives with a disability, yet 2% are represented on screen. So we talked about, you know, using your privilege as a platform for underrepresented voices. This is single-handedly, for me, the most important project that I'm working on right now.